What's up, guys? I'm Tasteless. With me is Artie McTosis, and this is
Artie McTosis in the house.
This is the GSL Codas. It is the second day of the round of 8.
Well, it may as well be the finals of the 2 matches we have tonight, Tasteless. We can just cancel the tournament after tonight.
We had a little bit of a schedule change here. We're starting out with what would have been our second best of 5 here.
Yeah.
So we're actually starting off today with the PVZ. It's going to be Stats versus Sue, and then after that it's Rain versus Zest.
We were told that it has something to do with someone has to play a qualifier or something, but don't believe that hype. It's because Rain versus Zest is basically the greatest match.
The best match.
It should be the finals
of this phase of the tournament, and it could be. Well, I think it could easily be one of the best matches of the entire tournament.
Listen, go out and spread the word. Go out and spread the word that this is going on, because tonight is going to be fantastic.
Artosis his mouth has been watering over this PvP that's coming up here tonight. Zest against Rain. Artosis has been predicting Rain for a long time, winning this tournament.
Stating Rain that will win this tournament.
Yes.
He has to actually win this Code S to make it to BlizzCon.
Well, I think he has to win this match here specifically, because this is easily one of the toughest opponents he could face off against.
The toughest opponent he could face off against.
I'm actually just going to go with Zest. I'm just going to go predict Zest here since you're so into this. So this way,
soon there's going to be a Tasteless curse. Tasteless chose Zest.
I'm predicting Zest here. I might as well just make this interesting.
Okay.
And for those two, I actually didn't have as much of an opinion, but no, I think Zest is going to take it now.
Well, you want to hear the craziest thing of all? Here's my actual prediction, right?
Okay.
Rain wins tonight and wins GSL. Zest wins BlizzCon.
Wow.
What about that? What about
Rain
that?
would have to get to the finals of this to go to.
He has to win this to go to BlizzCon.
You have to win this. Yeah, okay, you have to win the entire GSL, not just go to the finals. Win the entire GSL Codas, this GSL Codas, if he does want to go on to BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Stats versus Sue. You're thinking Stats. I'm thinking Sue.
Yeah, that's
right. I'll just go with whatever the opposite of what you're saying is.
I think Stats is actually going to take out Sue, to be honest. Sue, you know, he lost in the Kesp Cup very early to Super, and
that's true.
It wasn't really the greatest ZVP that we've seen out of him. Yes, I actually think Sue is a better player overall than Stats, but I've heard that Stats has insane PVZ.
Yeah, is so solid.
Yeah.
If you missed 2 days ago, Cure defeated Solar with the 3-1, and after that it was Innovation crushing DRG. So we will have a TBT semifinal, which, by the way, is a really nice change of pace here, especially for us at the GSL. We really don't have TBTs. We just have not had TBTs in a long time.
That's right. They have been rare.
We don't even know what goes on in that matchup anymore. I'm pretty sure there's lots of tanks still.
Well,
medevac drops.
Yeah,
you know,
a lot of gas first.
Lots of SCVs made.
A lot of aggressive harassment, no doubt.
Here today, though, this is the half of the bracket I was super pumped about. So we will be starting off with Stats against Sue, a best of 5 here. And the winner of that will face the winner against Zest versus Rain.
That's right. So it'll probably be Rain versus Stats in the next round. It'll definitely Rain versus someone. And then Rain probably, I don't know who's going to be versus between Innovation and Cure.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Cure Innovation, I really have no clue who wins between those guys.
That's a really good match. I actually can't wait for that. It's going to be fantastic.
And it's a TBT, thank God.
Yeah.
I've missed that matchup.
Just so different.
We started out StarCraft II with TBT being the most common matchup, and it's really...
Someone's going to make a sea chink and be like, what's that?
What the hell is that thing? Is he making tractors? Is that a giant, bigger mule? No, that is
a giant mule.
Yeah.
God, a giant mule would be better than a sea chink.
You could make those out of the factory. That's crazy.
Yeah. Imagine if you could make mules out of the factory. Crazy that would be.
Yeah. Well then, hold on, guys. Let's take a look at how these two players got here.
어윤수 3연속 결승 진출의 그 저력을 보여줍니다. 최정현 선수를 압도하면서 승자전 올라가는 프로리그 내에서도 좀 어려운 상황에서 팀을 구해낸 적이 여러 차례가 있어요. 프로리그 결승에 이어서 그 분위기를 개인기까지 가져왔습니다.
윤규리입니다. 자,
Up to the sky,
8강
up to the sky,
2일차가
sky,
시작이
sky.
됐습니다. 오늘 첫 경기부터
We are going to
정말
go to the
쟁쟁한
interview now here between
선수들이
Stats
출전을
and Sue and
하는데요.
see what their thoughts are
그것도 이
before this match.
92년생 절친이 만납니다. 벌써 데뷔 7년 차를 맞은 이 노장 두
All right, we have two
분을
players
모시고
here, very
이야기를
close
나눠보도록
friends to each other.
하겠습니다. 먼저 김대호 선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
7-year
안녕하세요.
veterans here in pro gaming.
네.
Stats and Sue, they both say hello.
자, 박수로 이렇게 시작을 하게 됐습니다. 김대엽 선수, 이 지옥이라고 칭했던 시조에서 스스로
Okay,
살아 올라오셨습니다. 첫 8강인데 소감이
You're
어떠세요?
the survivor of the grip of death. How do you feel?
스타1 브루도 이후에 8강은 처음이라서
네.
좀 긴장도 많이 되고
I know I had a round of 8 in Brood War, but it's been a while.
하는 거라서 준비하는데 좀
It's been a while since I've been in a round of 8 actually, so I'm
필요했었는데
excited.
지금은 이제 준비 다 잘 됐고 이제
I prepared a lot for
이길 일만
this.
남은 것 같아요.
네, 저번에 이 상대를 예측할 때 그 이영호 선수는 굉장히
And all you need to do tonight is
싫어하셨는데
win,
오늘
says.
상대가 된 어윤수 선수 절친인데 어떻게 생각하세요? 마음에 드세요?
So you're worried about facing off against
아무래도
Flash in the round of 8.
영어보다는 마음에
But
들고요.
no chance of that now.
네.
저도 저그전 하고 싶었는데
어.
네. 그 잘하는 윤수 이기고 4강 가면은 또 좋을
I was
것
hoping to have
같고.
matches against Zerg.
사실 어윤수 선수가
And I know
굉장히
Sue is
GSL에서
a
강하기
great Zerg
때문에
player, but if I
만만한
beat him,
상대가
I'm
아닌데
gonna, my
사실
reputation
그것도
will be enhanced
절친이기도
even more.
하잖아요. 그래서 걱정은 안 되셨나요? 어색해지면 어떡하지? 이런 걱정.
Are you worried
그런
about playing a match against a friend that you're so close to?
그렇고 저도 그렇고 서로
No,
서로
I'm not really worried about that.
알고 있어가지고
네.
I'm actually more worried about
좀 약간 제가 맞춤식으로
that we actually know each other and each other's
경기에서
playstyles
질까
too
봐.
well.
네, 그런 걱정만 들었고요. 네, 다른 걱정은 안 들었어요. 윤수도 좀 쿨해가지고.
So I'm really worried about if he's going to be able to read
네.
my
자,
mindset.
그러면 또 다른 한 분,
going into the match.
부장인 어윤수
It might make this
선수를 또
whole best of five
만나보도록
a little bit
하겠습니다. 자, 오늘 이렇게
Okay,
또
on to Sue
절친과
now.
8강전을 치르게 됐습니다. 소감이 어떠세요?
So you have a round of 8 against a good friend
사실
of yours. How do you
연분의
feel?
생각으로 와서 그다지 걱정은 안 되네요.
네. 하긴
You know, I don't really worry about it.
4강을 내다보고 계셨잖아요. 근데 사실 김대엽 선수가 저그 스페셜리스트거든요. 여기까지 올라오는
Says we can't be
동안에도
good
정말
friends anymore.
쟁쟁한 저그분들을 많이 꺾었습니다. 이 부분에 대한 걱정은 안 되세요?
솔직히
Stats already beat one of the top class Zerg players in the world on his way here. What do you think about that?
잘하는 이미지는
And
아니었는데
that was Sulky, by the way.
왜
그
잘하는 걸까요, 그러면?
아니 그 VOD를 다 봤거든요.
네.
Yeah, you know, I
근데
actually
깜짝
think
놀랐어요.
Stats is a very
저거를
great
다
player.
올라오길래.
네.
근데 다 이기긴
And I was a bit
했는데
surprised when I saw his VOD against Sulky.
운으로 이긴 것 같아서 그래서
And
딱히
he says, I
무서운 건
think it's kind
없어요.
of luck.
운으로 이겼다. 그렇다면 오늘 예상 스코어
He says,
어떻게
I'm not really
되세요?
worried about it. She says, what are your predictions for tonight? He
3대
says
1이요.
아니 그 한 판은 뭔가요?
3-2, 3-2 or 3-1.
한 판은 뭐 어떻게 하다 질 수 있는 거니까.
She says, so you're going to give
자 어떻게
Stats one
하다가
game?
한 판 져가지고 3대1로 이길 것
says, yeah, I
같다고
could give him
하셨어요.
one win
김대엽
here.
선수는 어떻게
As a gift.
생각하세요?
저는 오늘
She says, how do you feel about that, Stats?
아무래도 네, 윤수하고도 또 친하니까
네.
저는 한 2판 정도는 내주고 3판 내리 이겨서
I think since we're close friends, I think I could give him 2 wins,
참
but it's going to have to
어윤수
be a 3-2 win for me.
선수에게 쿨하게 또 2판 정도 내줄 수 있다 말씀하셨는데 사실 실력에 비해서 어윤수 선수도 무시할 정도로 굉장히 개인 리그와 인연이 없었습니다. 그 이유가 뭐라고 생각하시나요?
So you're a high-class Protoss,
네.
개인 리그에 그동안 인연이
but you haven't had a lot of luck in
없었는데
individual
왜
leagues. What are you thinking
그랬을까요?
about being here now? And what's the reasoning behind not
그냥
having such much
실력에
success in individual
대해서라고는
leagues?
말씀하시는데 그냥 제가 잘 못해서 그랬었던 것 같고요. 네, 지금은 정말 열심히 노력을 해가지고 이
네.
자리에
Yeah, I don't know why I
올라왔다고
haven't performed that well in
생각을
individual
하기
leagues.
때문에
I really
네,
put a lot of
지금 더
effort
바짝
and
열심히 해서
prepare a lot for the
이때
individual
좋은
leagues.
성적 거두고 싶은 이런 마음 가득 있어요.
그렇군요. 자,
But since I'm in the
7년차
round of 8, I
베테랑
really want to move on to the round of 4.
그만큼 이 간절하다는 게 느껴지는데요. 서로에게 한마디씩 강력한 덕담 한마디씩 하도록 하죠.
Before we have our
지금
matches,
괜찮은지
any final words to
모르겠는데요.
say to each
자,
other?
먼저 김대엽 선수,
Let's
어윤수
go with you first,
선수에게
Stats.
오늘 경기 앞두고 강력한 한마디 부탁드립니다.
Last words to your fans. Or
윤수가
to Sue, excuse me.
지금 4연준을 노리고 있는데 미안하지만
I know
여기서
Sue
내가
really
멈춰주고
wants to be the fourth, not the
다음에
champion, fourth
윤수 우승하는
finalist
걸로 하고
here in the
내가
GSL.
이번엔
But it's going to be
결승
pretty.
네,
But
자,
that's going to
김대엽
be too
선수의
painful for him if he loses in the
한
finals
방에
again.
키를
So I'm going to
맞췄어요.
stop that
자,
here now.
주셔야죠.
Sue, any final words to
별로-
Stats?
아무 느낌 없고 8강 무대가 너무
I
지겨워서
don't feel anything about his comments.
오늘 솔직히 3대1이라고 했는데
Round of 8 is so
진짜 1도
boring for
주기
me.
싫어서 오늘
I do this all the
그냥
time.
빨리 끝내고 갈 생각이에요.
네.
So
자,
I'm just
두
gonna
분의
finish these games up quickly and
신경전까지
get out of here.
정말 대단한데요. 오늘 경기 시작하기 전에 그럼 이 두 분의 데이터 바로 확인해 보겠습니다.
All right, a closer look at our two players before we begin this match. Now, remember, guys, Stats a very solid PBZ player.
He
Sue
certainly is.
has been in 3 GSL finals. He's not won any of them, but he's been in 3 GSL finals in a row, which is crazy.
And when he has one of his good games, it's like the greatest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, it really is.
Like those ZVTs where he was coming back, and those were against Flash. Like Flash like kills his hatch and then he fights back all game long, takes the lead and takes one battle off creep and loses because that's what ZVT is anyways. But just to fight back, I was like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
How can you even do that?
It's never how the highest level of play is supposed to look, right? I mean,
No.
you make a few mistakes here early on, and of course it's
almost
the
as if-
other person gets a crushing lead. But in this case, you look at someone like Sue. I mean, he's just so resilient. He bounces back from so much.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But this is a different matchup here as ZVP for Sue. By the way, here's the map list before we talk any further about this. Merry-Go-Round, Foxtrot Labs, Nimbus, Overgrowth, and Catalina.
okay. Okay, this is actually kind of
Foxtrot Labs
interesting.
is map number 2 is an interesting.
Yeah, that's a tricky map because like in
Yeah.
the very early game, Zerg can do some build order advantages, but
Sure.
like I feel like if you actually make it to a steady 3-base income and like you don't die right after you get that 3rd base, like force fields are so good there, you're just gonna crush the Zerg.
That's very true. I could definitely see somebody like Sue abusing that though early on.
Could be, yeah.
And I'd
He's
say
very good
I
at
feel
that.
like in PvZ especially, if you can get thrown off early game, it's so difficult to actually
Yeah.
recover. I would say, for instance, unlike a TVZ where a lot of times you can just win a good micro fight.
Yeah.
If you take a lot of damage early on,
Oh, yeah.
PvZ, you really. The building blocks are all coming in so late for you to, get that army that you
Yeah.
want late game. So
Something like one canceled Nexus can
Yeah,
just spell defeat. That's
yeah.
like someone like Sue will just know exactly what to do after that and kill you.
or even if they just get enough links in there and
Yeah.
do enough damage, I mean, you end up so far behind. But let's see if he does that this time around here.
Yeah. Merry-Go-Round
Sue
kind
is
of
aggressive, but he's no effort, for instance.
Merry-Go-Round as the first map taste is this is going to be a map where if Stats can win this, the series is looking fantastic for him. It's definitely one of the maps that Protoss doesn't really want to play against Zerg. The 3rd base is kind of rough. It's like a 3-player map, so it's kind of small, but at the same time, if you want to open with like a greedy build, it can be rough because you might not scout them first.
That's true.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they want to open with and whatnot. But I think this is going to be a fantastic match.
You know, to be frank, out of all the Zergs I've watched, I really feel like Sue does play the closest to perfection.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks so good.
Yeah, he's something else, man. I mean, 3 finals in a row, that speaks for itself. No one's ever done that. Nesty came the closest with 2 in a row, and that's like
true. Yeah.
2 in a row is so much less than 3 in a row. I know that sounds like it's only one less or
Well,
50%.
if you're considering
like,
the number of players you have to hack your way through,
Yeah.
it's a really crazy feat. And, there is a possibility, Sue, considering his history. By the way, I like how he swapped out a lot of those keys on that keyboard.
yeah, it's very
It's
handsome.
actually, pretty sexy. If you guys are wondering about that, you actually have to buy 2 of the same keyboard to do that usually.
Yeah.
Although, no, I guess there are
Some of the
some
new-
manufacturers that sell a
Yeah.
second set, I believe.
Yeah, there's a lot of times now, like the guys who sponsor Axiom, like WASD, you can actually go in and pick every key what color you want it.
Oh, really?
Or if
That's
it
cool.
has like letters on it or whatever. It's pretty highly customizable at some of these sites now.
Well, here is Sue. I think that Sue, it's going to be a tough match for him, but considering just how confident he's been since I guess for over the entire year now, Ro8, we've been casting Sue beat everybody for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a hard time, really recalling games that he's losing unless it's the finals.
Yeah.
He's just so solid. So, that being said, though, Stats is really good PvZ. He's really got a strong grasp on the matchup.
Yeah.
I think even if Stats wins here, though, he'll have a very difficult time, whoever he faces in the
Certainly.
next part of the bracket.
But if he can beat Stats, he definitely has a shot against the other 2, except Rain. No, I'm joking. But seriously, Sue, this is an important match. Stats has no chance to get to BlizzCon. We're in the crunch time for BlizzCon, right? There's WCS and then DreamHack Stockholm, and that's it. And Sue, if he gets top 2 here, which he always seems to, will go to BlizzCon. And of course, he's going to Stockholm too, so even if he doesn't, there's still chances.
That is true. We are about to start our first game on map 1. It's merry-go-round. It's a best of 5, so the loser does not pick the map. It is all preset. They all have the build set up, most likely already. There might be a few alterations as each map goes along, depending on if they see a very unique play style coming out here. Maybe unexpected plays. And that's loading up now here. The winner of this is going to be our 3rd player to go on to the round of 4. If you're just now tuning in, this is our first best of 5. It was scheduled to be our 2nd. The scheduled first best of 5 is going to go on after this. That'll be Zest versus Rain. Anyways, on to game number 1 with Stats and Sue. In the upper left, in the red, one of the best PvZ players in the entire world.
KT roster stats.
This guy has been monstrous since Heart of the Swarm, really.
Yeah.
Came maybe just slightly after that, but like one of the Kesper guys that really got
He's like
good
really
very
nodding his
quickly.
head there, like, I see. In the upper right, we have our Zerg player. In the orange.
SK Telecom T1 Sue.
Whoa!
That
quick
right
pull.
there, that's a
Quick
9
pull.
pool. Yeah. 9 pool opener here.
Well, he's going to set the pace here. You know, I think this is actually a very smart move in a best of 5
Yeah.
ZVP.
And the thing is, this is a wide open map. It's 3-player, so it's kind of likely that they'll go pylon at the choke, but he's actually gone in his main. So, you know, a lot of this actually can come down to the micro of this, because it looks like Stats is going to go for that greedy opener. And, you know, as I said, in a 3-player map, if you want to go for one of these greedy openers, sometimes you don't scout on that quickly, and sometimes those links come in and you're just completely not ready.
Well, he's banked up a lot of minerals. This is going to be a Nexus. We have those links starting. This is going to be a very bad start here for Stats. And there's that Nexus now.
Yeah. Sue's going to be very happy with what he finds, and the probe is going in the right direction. So that's
Okay.
at least something. He'll be able to prepare a little bit earlier, and that makes a lot of difference. Any seconds that you have make difference.
Now, we were talking about this before this match.
That's a sick sentence right there.
Yeah,
everything was in the right tense and everything.
I let that one pass, man. We were talking about this earlier. If Protoss takes a really big blow earlier in a PvZ, for instance, a Nexus cancel or something like that, it's at times basically impossible to recover.
Yeah.
We have seen the craziest things happen here in StarCraft II, but I mean, this is really, really, really hard to deal with, especially with Sue's micro.
Yeah, but let's see what Stats' micro is like, because his gateway's about to finish. He has not yet canceled the Nexus, so he may be trying to save this by chrono boosting out Zealots and microing probes very well. Already.
Okay,
this
one
is-
probe down.
ooh.
One probe down.
He's
Let's
making
see.
8 more lings, by the way. I do not foresee Stats being able to do this.
Yeah, so far the micro here is actually.
Ooh, that was really
Pretty
good by
good.
Stats for a moment.
Well, it's not. I don't
Yeah,
think
not
that
anymore.
one moment's going to count here in the long run. Okay, I was a little surprised he lost those 2 lings there. But with so many more lings coming in to regroup.
Yeah. Looks like for right now, his main mineral line is probably completely safe.
Now,
But with this many more lings coming, saving that Nexus on the low ground should be basically
yeah,
impossible.
this is the problem for Protoss. Is okay, so the worker line is fine. He could do a little bit more damage there, but overall, he could pretty much normalize. But the Nexus down here, as you were saying, Artosis, is not safe at all. And there's not really any way he can protect that.
Well, he's got a kite right now. He's got to like dance around with these probes and Zealot and not lose them. Oh god! Oh, he already loses one, but he needs to micro this heavily until this second Zealot gets down there. When the second gets down, he actually might be able to save it.
Okay, he actually gets that through. That was so sick.
Wow, wow! Ooh, really good micro there for a moment.
He's also getting so many
That
probes
was-
here. Okay,
that
a
was-
little bit of miss micro at the very, very end there for Sue. But right now, for the worker count, it's 16 to 16. Zerg can get the drones out a little bit quicker here.
Yeah, I would give Sue. I would feel pretty good in this spot as Sue, I would say. But Stats did well enough that the game isn't just straight up over, which it definitely could have been. Like, he had some very nice micro moves there.
Yeah.
That could have gone wrong. You know, if he loses like even a couple more probes than he did, then he is ridiculously far behind. But I feel like this is something he might be able to work up from. And he actually loses another one. That's
Tempo will be. Oh, man. I didn't even see that until just then. Okay, the 2 links down there at that expansion. Tempo right now for Protoss is really screwed up.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever really streamlined build he was going to be doing on this map, he's going to have to be playing a lot more off instinct here. Because when you lose that many workers, any game that this happens to you, basically, is going to be a unique snowflake of a game. You know, how much did your probes get stopped by mining? How many probes did you lose? How many lings did he make? How on top of it, things you can't see even, how on top of Zerg was, how on top of it was Zerg making drones back at home and everything like that. So, unlike a lot of StarCraft II games where, you know, both players have pretty much not been able to touch each other and are doing their perfect builds, in this case, Protoss is in a very uncomfortable spot.
Yeah, and you know, I'm really sad for stats because those 4 lings that got in right at the end got 3 probe kills, and I feel like that tipped the favor into Sue's favor a lot more than it was before. Like, his probe count just, like, it dropped low enough that it's like, oh, crap. And this is why he's getting a Stargate. He's not going to go for Phoenixes here. He's going to, I'm like 99% sure he's going to grab an Oracle and really hope he can kill, like, 8 drones.
We have another probe moving out here. Looks like these 2 lings are going to get deflected pretty easily here. And Zerg's taking his 3rd now. There's the Stargate finishing up here. Ling's speed has started also for Sue.
Yeah, we'll see what he does with this. He is actually getting 12 lings, so he might be fearful of some sort of, you know, timing attack with a lot of gateway units. You know, maybe, you know, do a quick, like, 4-gate or something like that to follow up, try to catch him with a weird number of units.
It's definitely not uncommon for Protoss to do
that.
Yeah. When they take a big blow early on, to just go ahead and try to do a counter all in.
There's only so many things you can do when you're behind in a situation like this. But he's grabbing that Oracle. We don't see any spores yet. And he is going right into a Robo after this Oracle. Okay, I really like the Robo as the follow-up. But, you know, a lot of times Oracle you'll follow up with something like a Twilight and try to get Blink and stuff like that. Of course, his economy is so badly hurt here, I would love to see, like, Oracle into an Immortal all-in or something.
Oh, you know, he could get a lot of drones right here.
Yeah.
Okay, 1,
micro. Come on.
2.
Oh!
A little bit of misplay there. 3, 4 now, 5.
Okay.
And, you know, that was enough kills. He did get the Oracle bruised a little bit.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
It's. I think he needs to do a bit more work with it, which I don't know if he's going to get done. But it was really a good start. Oh. Get those drones.
Oh, my God. Even more kills there. Well, this is exactly what Stats needed. This is really good for him. He's actually up to 9 kills now. Yeah. That Oracle is a mentor. Look at his rank.
Wow. Do
you know the rankings? Does the units?
Executor is the top one, I believe, because that's what all my units get.
No, do they? Does each unit get a different rank, or is it just for the race?
Protoss, Terran, Zerg all get their ranks. It's not different for units.
I remember when we first casted Warcraft 3 together, and we noticed that the Blade Master actually had a name.
Jubei.
Yeah, Jubei. And it's actually changed in each game. Makes me think about that. Okay, he's actually going to go for a forced cancel here, and there's no way that Protoss can stop this. Nicely done here by Sue. Yeah, these are the little things that Snoo does to just keep a lead here. And perfect. Gets that probe there. A really annoying moment there for Stats.
Now that Nexus cancel might have actually... Now this will sound crazy. It might have been a good thing for Stats in one way, because that Nexus, like, I'm not sure if he wanted to fully populate it with probes. I think he does. I think he has decided he did enough damage there to the drones that he's fine and can go into the macro game. But Roach speed is already done. He's making a bunch of Roaches. And the Colossus, first Colossus is not halfway done. I'm not sure that he can really hold on against a big attack on that third base, especially with just 2 sentries.
Yeah. It's a wide open area. There's a lot of Roaches already out. There's even more coming in here.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough.
Also, even to get any Robo units to that Nexus, they can be intercepted there by the Roaches too. You know, for instance, if you have an Immortal out or something, you want to have that tucked into a nice corner where it can just keep dealing damage and be microed back when the time is appropriate.
Ooh, and that's actually, wow,
Those
really
good control. Really wasted force fields there.
If he hadn't done those, it might have been able to do some additional damage. But with all those Zealots and stuff, it looks like he's safe for now. I love the Void Ray. I love that he's Chrono Boosting out an Immortal, as opposed to another Colossus as well.
We have some Roaches trying to poke up there into the second. And so far, stats is airtight.
Yeah, he's waterproof right now, but you know, we do have that Spire. That's airtight, Tasteless. That's no way to say airtight. That's what waterproof is. Looking at me like I'm crazy. In fact, it's a much more eloquent way to say it, if I may say so myself.
If you may say so yourself, you can.
I'm very much more eloquenter than you are. But yeah,
much more articulate.
He's making quite a few Immortals here, but the Spire just finished up. And I wouldn't be surprised if we just see the switch directly into Mutas here. Like, he's got enough Roaches.
Well, look at this,
2 more bases, too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to touch upon. The 2 additional bases here, and Protoss is in a really defensive posture. He can just keep pumping Mutas out here, and I don't know if Protoss is ever going to be able to leave his home.
Yeah. Well, he's getting a second Stargate, so this is probably for Void Ray Colossus. Like, that's my guess is he would like to go for that as a composition because it's kind of like the ultimate Protoss Death Ball.
That's the ultimate turtling. You can turtle with that and eventually push out when you're maxed out, and it's pretty tough for Zerg to deal with, but I would feel like a player of Sue's caliber would just be able to take the freedom of the map and turn that into a bigger lead than anything stats could use right now. Here come the Mutas now. They're headed over here to the upper left towards the main.
Yeah, and it looks like he actually got that 4 Phoenixes instead of what I was saying there. He's already making the cannons. He realizes what's going on. This is going to be a hard defense, though. Yeah,
these cannons finishing just barely in time, but there are just so many Mutas here. You know, the thing is, each cannon is finishing up in enough time to actually deal some damage to those Mutas, so it looks like the Mutas are just going to have to back out. Not much else he can do. We still have more and more Mutas being made, and 3 Corruptors now. He may try to blindside the third base.
Yeah.
Just use the Corruptors to take out all the Colossi, come in here with the Mutas, and of course then the Roaches and the Lings, and after the Colossi have been pushed away. And, okay, he's actually going to send everything in right now.
Well, he does get the Mothership Core to use all its mana and die, so that's pretty good. Still, you know, we do have stats defending everything well enough. His economy is still all together with 64 probes. He's making 2 Phoenixes at a time. He's getting his Phoenix range. Like, he's fought back brilliantly so far, Tasteless, I must say. He may be able to do something here.
Zerg is now maxing out. If Protoss can hang on for the next few attacks, Protoss can definitely start to catch back up here and probably get into a lead, have a really strong push coming out here. But for the time being, he's going to be at the whims of the Zerg. The Zerg has a really scary army. He has a lot of different angles he can attack over here. For instance, even hitting the main here. Those Corruptors can be pretty difficult for the Phoenixes to deal with. It does look like there's just such an insane amount of cannons, though, in the main. I don't know if he ever will be able to get in here. Nice engagement here by Sue. I guess Stats not quite on top of his units there.
Yeah, looks
Sometimes
like
we see players try to get rid of some Zealots at the end game when they're maxed out, but this is obviously not one of those moments. So
I think he's trying to sneak around and harass a bit.
Yeah.
He can't do something like make a Warp Prism right now. He just doesn't really have so much cash to be able to try that. So just trying to send out units just not working. We'll see if he can continue to hold on, though, because his Phoenix count is actually getting really high.
Okay, he's coming up here in between the second and the third. It looks like Protoss should be able to drive this back pretty easily. Unfortunately, Zerg did not get that Forge there with a +2 attack upgrade being used.
All right, a lot of cannons up here, but he does have 12 Phoenixes. He does have Phoenix range now as well, so if he micros well, he can even kill off Corruptors, although it is a lot slower, and these Mutas going to work.
You know, these Mutas are now driving out the probes. We see the Phoenixes have just been pushed out. They have no real purpose being over there, so the Stalkers will come up now. They do a good job of driving out these Mutas, but at the same time, the real question here for me is when is Stats going to be able to make any presence on this map? Like pushing out here, taking out hatcheries. It seems like it's still a ways away.
Well, yeah, I think you're pretty right about that, but let's see what these... Oh, no!
My God, this is so bad.
This is so bad.
He's going to get the sentries here as well.
Oh, man.
Really hurting that late-game Protoss unit composition. The Roaches and the Mutas and the Corruptors back up now. What is that actually at the bottom right of the mini-map there?
I think it's Overlords.
Is it really just a group of Overlords tucked away over there?
I'm pretty sure. I think he's just trying to hide a few of them because these Phoenixes are rampant all over the map.
Here's what's funny is his Phoenixes might go by there now if that is actually a bunch of Overlords.
Could be.
Okay, he's coming here into the main again. you know, Stats been on 3 bases for so long, but resource is still so sparse that he doesn't really have any defense. The Stalkers are coming up here, but already too late, and now Mutas are going to be able to take out so much. We see the Stargate barely survives that, but you know, as long as Stats is staying alive here, he's not doing much else on the map. Okay, here's a nice engagement. Phoenix is coming up now.
This is pretty fantastic because Mutas have to buy some time before the Corruptors get up here. Corruptors are coming. They are closing that gap, and he's going to have to pull away. It's just, you know, the funny thing about the Corruptors here, Tasteless, the Phoenixes can actually kill them, but the micro is too time-intensive for him to bother doing so.
Yeah, you have to really babysit those.
Yeah, you have to really micro to kill them. It's kind of interesting.
I think a lot of people, when they look at StarCraft, they have this fantasy that, like, you know, a very good StarCraft player is doing literally everything at once, which is actually not true. What they're doing is they're the best at prioritizing all the action.
That's right. They can do a lot at once.
Yeah, but they have to pick what's most important. And, you know, a moment like that, microing those Phoenixes is not generally one that's going to lend you to a good position in the late game, considering you have to do all this other stuff on the map, like make stuff. We have a lot of Phoenixes engaging these, a lot of Mutas engaging these Stalkers here. I'm actually surprised that Sue engaged this, and then I see the sheer number of Mutas, and I say, I guess you can just win that fight, even with Stalkers being warped in there.
And really, when he loses the Mutas, he can either remake them because he's been on 5 bases forever, or even switch techs because, you know, the supply of stats falls so low.
He's got a ton of minerals, Sue does.
Yeah, he's in fantastic shape here.
And look at this. Yeah, he just sends these Mutas directly in here against the Stalkers. The Stalkers just run back.
He's going to catch all the Mutas that are actually being rallied.
This is a well-positioned set of Phoenixes. He's actually taking on all those other Mutas. Unfortunately, this is starting to snowball out of control. You can see the probe count dropping at the upper right here.
Yeah, he's bringing his Phoenixes in now, but I think the critical damage has basically been dealt. He's counter-harassing with some Zealots, so we'll see what those can get done, but with all these slings in here, almost no gateway units, and the Corruptors going after those Phoenixes, it looks like it's just too much.
Well, it looks like this should be the beginning of the end. There's no way that the damage Stats is doing can match the damage that Sue is doing. Sue is about to wipe out the second base and the main here. We do have these Immortal shooting drones, and yes, Zealots are hitting a hatchery at the bottom right, but it's just not going to be enough.
No, even though he kills those, what does he really have left here? 5 Zealots, 14 Phoenix.
GG, there it is. Sue wins game number 1.
Yeah. That was,
welcome to the Panic Room.
That was well done.
Yeah.
And Stats, in fact, didn't panic. He stayed cool and he played very well.
When they queued on that song, Welcome to the Panic Room, I think that's where Stats went after that game.
That was a tough one.
Sue looked very good from start to finish. He did do, let's not forget that early Ling attack.
Yeah.
Which set the pace of the game there. Stats playing from a very awkward position.
He was, but he made some great choices. He went for the Oracle, got some good, strong kills in there. He defended everything well. He got his 3rd base up. You know, he kind of almost preemptively made the Stargate. He was really on top of when to switch up his tech and get different counters. It's just he eventually decided to go across the map with his Phoenixes and try to do something. Because the thing is, you don't have to stay on Mutas forever. Like, Sue could have been going into Swarmos, could have been going into, you know, Ultras, whatever he wants.
Artosis, when you're on a 5-base Muta, it's one of the scariest things out there for Protoss, because you're right, they can keep going Mutas as long as they want and try to hit your main, make you make all these cannons, right? That you probably want to be spending your minerals elsewhere. Keep you busy back home. And then switch right out of it into anything else. You can go back into Roaches. You can make a ton of Lings, and then you can go right back into Mutas again, because if you're on 5 bases, that's so many gases.
It's so true. It's the scariest thing, and that's, you know, a lot of people might look and be like, well, if you just kept those Phoenixes at home, he's completely fine. He maxes out. But if he keeps them at home and Sue is, like, switching up techs, then suddenly he has, like, 18 Phoenixes against someone who is, like, maxed out on different units. So Stats was trying to make an actual win happen rather than just stay alive.